Welcome to Daps Magic, the podcast. I'm Mr. Daps, and since 2004, Daps Magic has been a place for people to celebrate Disney and positive stuff. We've been having a blast doing that. We love Disney, we love people, and we love making new friends in the realm of Disney and positive stuff. That's what this podcast is all about. We have conversations that we hope will lead to deeper conversations with you, our friend and listener. We'd love to continue the conversation on social media, our Patreon, or even our Facebook group. We recognize that these conversations are much more fun when we have them with friends. We hope you will join them. We also hope that you will take a moment to leave us a positive review wherever you happen to be listening to Daps Magic, the podcast. On May 16th, 2025, the Disneyland Resort's 70th celebration began at the happiest place on Earth. This is a milestone celebration that celebrates happy, that goes back since 1955 when Walt Disney said, "To all who come to this happy place, welcome." For Daps Magic, the celebration began a couple days earlier. We were invited to the media event, but it was a celebration that gave us a look at all of the different offerings that are happening throughout the Disneyland Resort for this milestone celebration. There's new entertainment, there's merchandise, there's food, there's interactive experiences, there is a lot. For this episode of Daps Magic, the podcast, I'm joined by Daps Magic team member Angela as we talk about all of the different offerings that are happening at the happiest place on Earth during this celebration of 7 decades of Disney magic in Anaheim. We hope you'll join us as we go through this conversation that is almost comprehensive. There's still more to cover, but we hope you'll join us, we hope you'll have fun, and we hope it'll make you smile. Let's talk about the 70th. Today, I'm joined by Angela, who's one of our intrepid team members who takes a lot of our videos, actually, and is a very valuable member of the team. And we have both been covering Disneyland's 70th Resort Celebration for the last week or so, since it's only this old. But there is a lot of ground to cover, so we're going to dive right in. I think what we're going to do is go through the order that I experienced things through the media event, just so that we can not get lost, even though we'll probably miss some things along the way, because there is a ton of ground to cover during this 70th celebration, and some things have already changed. So let's dive right in. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Well, our day started on, what was it? I guess it was last Tuesday where we started the media event. And the first day really started with interviews and then went into stuff that was happening at Disney California Adventure. And the interviews were primarily about the food, and they were about all of the merchandise. And I think we can start with merchandise for this, because you've gotten a chance to look in the parks for the merchandise. Angela, do you have anything out of the multitude of collections and offerings that are now found throughout the Disneyland Resort that really jumped out at you as, oh, I love this? And then also, what did you think overall of the entire merchandise lineups?
Oh, yeah. So, the first thing that struck me when I first saw all the different items that were available is how broad the collection is. I don't think I remember another anniversary celebration like this one where there really is something for everybody, whether you like bright, poppy colors, kind of reminiscent of the 90s, or if you're more subdued, you like something that's more elegant and regal, there's something for you. I really liked the brighter colors. I think that's what I was drawn to right away. The very first thing, so I walked into the park on opening day, and the first thing that really drew my eye was there are some reusable tote bags that probably cost about $5, and they're so cute. They have 3 different sizes. There's kind of a one on the smaller end, a medium, and a very large one. They're all different, and they really encapsulate all of the colors and the artwork that are all around the resort, and my eye was drawn to those instantaneously. I ended up actually getting the really large one and the really small one. I think that they really show the thought behind all of the decorations that are around, headbands. Those we've seen in the parks now for a while, but I really love that they redid some of our main Fab Five characters to feature on those headbands. I actually got the Minnie and the Mickey characters for those. The Minnie has a really cute new headband, and Mickey has a fun bow tie that have those same colors on them. But I would be remiss if I didn't also mention the Vault collection. I think that one is so fun. There are some historical items in there that we don't always see. And one that I'll call out is the postcard set. Up till now, there's been I believe it's a 10-card set that's been floating around the parks for maybe a year now. There is now a postcard book.
It seems longer.
That has some reprinted cards. Yes, it does. And so this book has some that we've had in the parks in many years past. I love them. I will definitely be sending those out. I have it here with me. I don't know if anybody else collected it probably in the 80s. Those pens that had the little floaty characters that went back and forth when you shake the pen from side to side. There's a set of those. I love that. I think that's a detail that you don't always see nowadays, and I think it's proof that the designers of the merch really thought about how can we involve nostalgia in this collection, in things that not only the style of it is reminiscent of the past, but also items that you hardly ever see in the parks anymore. I think that's great. So those are the real things that stood out to me. Let's see, there's a shirt, there's a hoodie that I'm still looking for. On opening day, these things went quick. So there's one that has embroidery on the back, and it says 70th. I have my eye out for it. So if that comes back in stock, I will be buying that first thing.
Well, I think one of the things you nailed on this is for this entire celebration, the quality level for all of the different collections that are a part of this larger 70th collection, really, like, they nailed it. It's you can tell that people have a love of the company or I guess the parks and the history of the parks. And I feel like even had those memories of like the pens. Like I remember collecting those as a kid too. Like every time you went to Disneyland, which was once every couple of years, we came home with those pens. And I can remember there being, I think, a red one. And I want to say it had the Disneyland Railroad in it, and it went back and forth when you flipped the pen different directions. And I had that for years. Like it didn't even work anymore, and I still had it on my desk. And but I thought that one really stood out. In fact, during my interview when we were talking about those, I was like, "Oh, these are super cool." And then there's some more obscure stuff too, like the Mickey Mouse shirt with the button or the eyes, I don't even know what to call those, like the jiggle eyes things. And then they've got the notebook in the nostalgia collection. Yeah, that Walt had, like that was like Walt's notebook that I thought was super cool. And then they have so many great different jackets and hoodies and sweatshirts and all of those fun things that really people enjoy, and they're actually really comfortable. But one thing I will note, since you brought up it was in the embroidery on the sweatshirt you want, there's a lot of embroidery on a lot of these different things that are out there. They really went the extra mile with the merchandise this time around. And then they also have like the little bubble wand that you can put different heads on, and it does different voices. So it could be Goofy or Mickey or Stitch, I think I remember seeing. And I thought that was such a clever thing. And then there's the Mickey that talks, that you say, "Hey, Mickey." And if you're listening to this and there's one on your desk or something right now, maybe he just spoke to you, which would be very funny. And but no, I thought they really did a nice job. And there's like water bottles and stuff too that have the same design as the bag you were talking about, the big shopping bag. And I liked that a lot as well. But they really, this time around, I felt like leaned into what the guests really know and they love about Disneyland. And they said, "Hey, we know these are the things that you've liked through the years. We're going to plus them up a little bit because that's what Disney does. but we're also going to bring them back in a form that's recognizable and digs into the nostalgia and also the excitement of a party that's the 70th anniversary. So that was how we started. Then we went into the food. They have food that's based on nostalgia. So like lots of chili dishes or chili incorporated into dishes. And like there's different dishes that were reimagined dishes from the past. And you actually had one, didn't you?
I did. I got to have the Captain Hook.
Tell us about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I thought it was such a special thing. So this is at Red Rose Tavern, which is just a stone's throw away from where the old Captain Hook pirate ship used to be, which, of course, sold tuna fish items. And so, yes, there's an open-faced tuna fish sandwich that I didn't know quite what to think when I got it. I got it mostly just to see what's happening. You don't find a lot of fish in theme parks. So I was very pleasantly surprised. The first thing I noticed was the tuna itself was very nicely seasoned and actually a little bit spicy. So if you are somebody who loves tuna, but maybe not spice so much, just be aware there is a little bit of a kick to that sandwich. Let's see, it had some tomato slices on it. It had some melted Munster cheese on a nice thick piece of rustic bread. I really enjoyed that. It was filling, even though it is only an open face single-sided sandwich. It really did stick with you. Let's see, it had some house-made kind of kettle chips, I suppose I would describe them. Quite a large portion of those. And so it made me happy that I got it. So it lived up to the celebration. I was not somebody who got to experience the original Captain Hook dining experience, but I somehow feel like I got to after having this sandwich. It was nostalgic for something I never got to experience, which I think is special.
And Red Rose is probably the closest to the location where you could originally have gotten something like that if we were to just like, I don't know, guess of like what would be the closest restaurant. So I think that was it. The one I really want to try that I haven't tried yet is they have a chili corn dog, and it's a corn dog. It doesn't look like the hot dog's in it, but it's cut in half, and then it has chili down the middle. And that one looked really fun and delicious. And then there's also, this is going to come as a shock for lots of people, is they have the pancakes with the apple inside. Like it's like an apple pie filling inside of these pancakes. And I think it's at River Bell Terrace. You'll have to check on the website for me on that one. But I don't usually make it into the parks for breakfast. And if I do, I usually work and just grab a cup of coffee and I'll find a table and work for a few hours. But I will say that one made me want to be like, maybe I'm going to have to find a time where I've got a couple hours to go try this during the next 15 months or whatever, because they do look really good. They also look like they're a big portion. So you might not need lunch after it. I don't know. But those were really cool to look at and to get to taste, and we'll experience those over the coming months and year, I guess. And then they also have dishes that are coming that are inspired more by the celebration than instead of the nostalgic history of food, I guess you could say, at Disneyland. And those are all very vibrant and they're colorful, and they look like they will be more on the sweet side, I would guess. I haven't tried any of those yet. We will have to see if we try those, and then we'll let you know on those. But that was the beginning of our day. We were also given some swag at that media room, which really was incredible. I'm sure you saw the videos and the pictures, Angela, but they transformed a room in the Grand Californian, this big ballroom, and really made it feel like you were in this party atmosphere with I'm going to call them iridescent curtains on the wall that you really couldn't tell what color they were, but they painted colors on them. And then in the middle, they had this light fixture that was actually lights from the Paint the Night parade. And every 15 minutes, it would do a little magic moment, I guess you could call it. And sometimes it was music from Paint Tonight, and sometimes it was, I think, Wondrous Journeys might have been one. And was Live the Magic. There were well-known songs from the Disneyland Resort that you'd know. But it made for a really nice atmosphere, and they had coffee and teas and all of that stuff. So then after that, it was time to go into the park. And the first thing of the day that was official for our day was Better Together, which is a return of the parade from Pixar Fest last year. We've both seen it. I think we enjoy it. They've tweaked it, minusculely for this year. But what do you think about Better Together returning?
I'm surprised it's returning, and not in a bad way. Just we had its exit last year with the end of Pixar Fest, and in my mind, I was thinking, "Oh, that's really sad. I enjoyed that parade. I guess I won't get to see it again." And lo and behold, here it is back. I think it is a really nice parade for Disney California Adventure. It fits the spirit of that park. It fills the parade route well. I think it's a very happy parade, and so that's probably why it's part of this celebration. I love the dancers, I think. If I had to call out to something that just makes me smile every single time, the people that are a part of that parade are so into it. They really enjoy what they're doing, and you can just tell that their happiness is contagious. And so whenever I see it, it's always just a smile. I love Pixar just in general, so I think it's a win. Would I love to see something new? Yeah, but that's coming. I know that perhaps for the 75th or for some other event in the future, the great minds at Disney will come up with something new. But I'm just glad to have a chance to see Better Together again and enjoy the things that I loved last year.
Well, I think you nailed on one of the things that I think was probably a thought as they were coming up with the celebration for the 70th. And I really think the bar was, does this make you smile? Does this make you happy? Like, I think that was at its very baseline, is like, oh, does this make us happy? Yes. All right, it's in. Kind of a, like, what are the things past, present, and then new that we can do? That the bar is, we want people to be happy because our slogan is celebrate happy at the happiest place on earth. And I think Better Together does that. Like, it's not the biggest and craziest and most insane parade in the world, but it's catchy. It has a tune that's going to go with you. As I'm speaking about it right now, it's going through my brain. I'm sure it is anybody who's seen and heard this parade before. You're now thinking about you, me, Better Together. But it's just a fun parade, and it was a good way to start the event off, the official event, I guess you could say. After that, we had some free time. Went to dinner. They treated us to Paseo, which was good. I think I can't remember what I had. It was good, but I was really more focused on the evening's events, because then they took us to the Sunset Theater, where we got kind of an overview of what's going on for the 70th from Imagineers and show developers and people like that. And that led us into being walked across the street to go to the new Disney Junior show. And this is inspired by the new Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Plus, which I believe is coming to Disney Plus later this summer. And it's a new take on a kind of a similar feel of a show. Like, it's definitely a show for kids to sing and dance along with songs that you know and love. And I did, for my credit, I think I knew 2 of the songs in there. And I think there was 5 or 7. But you know what? I knew the hot dog song and I knew the Mickey Mouse song. If you're gonna know something, at least know that, right? So anyway, we got to see this show. I will say it was hilarious, not just because the show was entertaining, but you also have a bunch of Disney media, literally hundreds, sitting on the floor, and then a few of us on the back on a bench watching this kids show. And there's probably 4 kids in the entire theater, and of course that puts them in a, like, I don't know if I want to dance because all these other people are just sitting here kind of a thing. But it was super cute. And I will say this is probably the most full family friendly version of a Disney Junior show they've had in there. Where, like, I think all ages will probably enjoy it a little bit more than its predecessors, just because there are, there's things to look out for. There's some Easter eggs. There's some nods or whatever, and it wasn't quite as much like I don't know. Some of the shows were definitely like, oh, let's interact with the kids and nobody else exists kind of a thing. And this one felt a little bit more like, oh, everybody's going along for the ride. You've gotten the chance to see it, I think. What did you think of the show?
Yeah. So I got to watch the video of that performance, and as you say, it did make me smile a little bit to see that, yeah, there were mostly adults in that crowd, but still you could tell they had fun. And so having seen some of the previous iterations of that show, which I enjoyed, I think there is a wholesomeness to them that you just have to smile when you see them. But I will absolutely say this is my favorite version of the Disney Junior variety of shows. I think, as I was reflecting on it, because it's basically hosted by Mickey and Minnie. I love that they come out first. They are the stars of the show, and everything really does revolve around them. It is a very cohesive storyline. The music is such that no matter who you are, I think you have to tap your toes. You have to, if not dance along, at least move a little bit. I loved a lot of that show, more even than some of the past ones. And as you say, I think it does have an appeal to anybody, all age groups. I would actually go back and watch that show just by myself. I think it was fun enough that it's a nice break in the air conditioning on a hot day. It is just fun, pure fun, wholesome, enjoyable. I don't find any fault with it at all. I thought it was great.
And I think it'll be even more fun when there's families in there with kids versus a bunch of media people, just because the energy is going to be so much. Like, you can imagine the cast members, both that were in the front corners of the room and then also on the stage, were killing it with just the energy of the media event. But then you think of like having little kids that know these songs and have come and maybe seen the show before or seen it online. And so they're already singing along and dancing along. Like, I really think that's just going to add to the energy and the vibrance of that experience. And I really think it's a great upscale plussing of that show in that theater space. And I hope it stays around for quite some time, because I do think it's something, you can bring nieces and nephews and all of the family to in the future. So right after we saw that, we go outside, we make our way down the street, and they stop us right in front of Carthay Circle Restaurant, where we got to see their new projection show. I believe it's called A Little Bit of Magic, or Celebrate Happy, A Little Bit of Magic. And that is just the charming little Tinkerbell takes over the front of the Carthay Circle Restaurant and makes some magic happen. It's about 2 minutes long. I think it happens every half an hour from like 8:30 on, something like that. We don't have that completely confirmed, but that appears to be what's happening, which could be a trick if you go on a grad night in the next few weeks, on the weekends, or any night that's whatever. But definitely worth catching. And you haven't seen that one yet, right?
Just videos. I will be excited to see it in person this coming week. Yeah, as you say, I think it was the icing on an already beautiful environment. I did get to see the projection show in Disneyland, which I'm sure we'll cover shortly, but this one is nice in that it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's not meant to be a big highlight event, perhaps, but it's that really beautiful, lush touch that says this is a celebration. And the fact that it occurs regularly throughout the night, I think, is even better, because what I love is being in a theme park, minding my own business, and something happens just when I'm not expecting it. It's one of those pixie dust moments, literally, with Tinkerbell, that I think will make so many people smile. And I'm excited to get to experience myself coming up soon.
I totally agree. That was actually the word in my head, was like, oh, it's a little bit of pixie dust they just threw on the front of the park. And it is ironic that they used Tinkerbell for that, but it is something you don't want to miss. when you're in there in that park at night, because it does add a little bit of extra magic to your night as you're wandering around and enjoying Disney California Adventure. But we weren't wandering. We were getting moved pretty quickly. So we got whisked away over to Paradise Bay, where we watched the new, World of Color Happiness. And before that, the Muppet pre-show, which you have not seen yet. You absolutely need to see, especially the Muppet pre-show, because it's basically a big song and dance number for following the rules. And the gimmick I won't say for those who haven't seen it, but it is very funny and it's a little bit catchy. Like, you'll hear it in your head. And the thing I love about it so much is they captured the spirit of the Muppets. It's quirky. It's a little bit out there. Each character get their little moment to shine, and then they also it's got that right level of humor for the Muppets, where, you know, Gonzo's being Gonzo, Miss Piggy's being Miss Piggy, Kermit's trying to keep this thing going together, Joe from Legal is just trying to get his legal whatever across, and there's the mayhem and the craziness that's involved with the Muppets that's all around there, including even Waldorf and Statler and Scooter's there. There's a bunch of them. It's great. It's worth going and seeing World of Color Happiness just to see the pre-show, and that will be happening again for sure this summer. World of Color Happiness, I will say I want to watch again, not through a 2-inch screen of a Pocket 3, because I did spend most of the show like lifting my arm and trying to avoid other people's arms getting into my shots or cameras getting into my shots. And that was a bit challenging because we literally walked up, and I think we were there less than 5 minutes before the pre-show started. Like, it was like we were really cutting it close. And so like, there's moments in it that really stuck out to me as beautiful, and like their choice in the use of Rainbow Connection at the beginning and end, bookending it, was beautiful. And I liked the use of the emotions from Inside Out too. And then like, there's some really fun moments in it as well. And I really want to just be able to absorb the whole thing, I guess. I can tell you it's probably going to end up being in middle to upper middle of different iterations of World of Color that we've seen through the years, at least for me. And like, nothing's ever going to beat the original. Like, the original is just, there was something wow and magical of that first moment you see of World of Color. And for those who never got that opportunity, this might be that wow first moment you see World of Color, just the way they use the fountains and the projections and the other effects that happen throughout the show, including some new ones. And but it was fun. You can vote for it, so it can change each time. Like, there's 4 variations for this show, and this is the 7th iteration of World of Color, we were told during that preview thing in the theater. And it really, like, I think they did a great job from what I could tell, and I really want to go back and really just watch it instead of not trying to die. And not that anybody was being terrible, it just was, we were all there to do the same thing. But definitely check it out.
There's something to be said for getting to watch something without having to think about other things, to really take it in and digest it. And so therefore, I am so excited. I'm really going to try to make the World of Color, both the Muppet pre-show and the Happiness show, probably my number one priority on the next future visits I'm doing, because everything I've heard about it seems like it really is a fun show. And let's say, can we say, please, more Muppets in the theme parks? I am so excited that the Muppets are featured so prominently. And I didn't even know that the Rainbow Connection was the bookend. I think that's brilliant. And in a celebration that's all about happy, what's more happy than the Muppets? I mean, really, I'm so thrilled. I'm so excited. So I have not spoiled that for myself. That's kind of the one thing that I'm holding out, that I will wait to see it in person. So I am so excited this weekend, I hope.
Well, and the Muppets and the Disneyland Resort are both celebrating their 70th anniversary this year. So that makes it perfect as well for both of them to have their moments in the spotlight. And I truly hope we get more Muppets as the year progresses, or years progress, whatever that's going to be. So that was our first day. And the moment that was over and it cleared out, we all were racing back to our hotel rooms to start writing and editing videos and posting and all of the crazy things that you do as a Disney media member. And it's always funny because I think if you're looking at it from the outside, you're like, oh, that was the big moment, is you watched this show, you did this thing. And really that's just the starting, well, it's not even the starting point, it's like a midpoint, because you have the waiting before, and then you have the moment that we capture, and then you have to go share it with the world. And the sharing with the world can almost be as hard as anything else, just because you have to figure out how you're going to write it. You have to get the editing thing going. You have to get the uploading thing going. Hopefully it works. Hopefully the internet's fast. In this case, it was mid, like it was fine. But like, you know, you end up working till 1:32 or later in the morning, and then you get up bright and early the next morning to do it all over again. And so for day 2 for us, started actually with brunch at Parkside Vista. And this was cool because we got the chance to, it was kind of an off the record thing, but we got a chance to meet with the new president, Thomas Maslum of the Disneyland Resort. We got a chance to hang out with Disney. I'm totally spacing their names right now, but the authors of the new Happiest Place on Earth book that's being released by D23 and also is in the parks right now, and then also officially gets released, I think, July 16th, 17th, somewhere like that. Disney legend Don Hahn. There we go, in my head. And this was such a special morning. There was also other Imagineers. Say it again?
Christopher Merritt, I want to say, is
there we
the
go.
other author.
Thank you. Yes, that sounds correct. But we got to hang out with all these people, and we did get to take pictures with the authors. But there was also Imagineers from the park and some other people that we were able to chat with and really get a kind of a first look at what the Disneyland Resort is going to look like going forward in terms of its leadership for a lot of the guests. And then with the book, obviously, it was looking back at the origins of the Disneyland Resort, which that book looks fantastic. And I've just taken a cursory look at it. But I can tell you this, for Disneyland history fans, Disneyland fans, you name it, this is a must-have for your collection, just because it gets stuff. There's some stuff that you've seen before. There's a lot of stuff that you haven't. And they really went the extra mile, literally spanning the globe to get content that hadn't been seen before. Some of it that the archives weren't even aware existed, that they were telling us about when we were getting a chance to chat with them. And then it also kind of either verifies or debunks some urban legends that we all have known and loved through the years about Disneyland and the origins of the park. And so it's beautiful. It's a nice big coffee table-sized book. It's heavy, I can tell you. We walked away with 2 of them. They are heavy. I was afraid to put them in the shopping bag that Angela was talking about earlier, because I'm like, I hope it doesn't rip it, but I did anyway, because they also gave us the key to Disneyland, the plastic, the interactive thing, which we'll talk about in a little bit too. But fantastic morning. And getting the chance to speak with the Disneyland Resort president for a few minutes was something really special also, that frankly you don't get all the time. Like, that's a very busy position, and he gave each person that wanted to talk to him basically as much time as they wanted. So I think I probably talked to him for 5 or 10 minutes, and he was talking about a little bit about his history with the company and a little bit about Disneyland itself, but then also just the importance of knowing and listening and having a relationship, is what I'm going to call it, with Disneyland fans and Disneyland locals. And he stressed that multiple times, of like really wanting to build that connection and that relationship and listen to the fans. And I thought that was such a good thing, especially as we're going into a new era with Disneyland Forward, which he will most likely be overseeing as we see all of these new things beyond what we see currently at Avengers Campus expanding and working. But, you know, we got Coco coming, we've got Pandora coming, and it was good to put a face, and perhaps more importantly, eyes that are on that face to the project into the future of the Disneyland Resort and see that he seems like a genuinely good guy and who legitimately cares not just about the legacy and the future of Disneyland, but also the people who love Disneyland. And he'd also made some remarks that were similar to that the night before, right before the start of World of Color. And I think you got to see that part, right, Angela? Do you have any thoughts on the new Disneyland Resort president?
I do. Right. So there is a video on the Daps Magic YouTube channel with his remarks. And yes, I did get to watch that. I was really blown away. My immediate thought was, he gets it. We've had a lot of great leadership at Disneyland in the past, but there's something immediate that I notice about Thomas Maslin where he understands what it is to be a fan of Disney and especially of Disneyland. You could tell he himself is a fan of the resort. He understands, he said it right immediately after though, he understands the pressure and what it means to have this weight to carry to support such a heavy burden to keep this resort doing well and succeeding, and not even that, looking for the future to build something even bigger and better. I appreciated that he said, we're now starting to think about Disneyland Forward and what that means. And they're actively talking about what these plans are going to be. And that's a really exciting thing for a Disneyland fan to know. Not only are these talks happening, but somebody's in charge who really cares about the park and cares about the fans, because it makes such a difference when there's somebody who understands what it is to have Disney be part of your life. And so I think we're in great hands. I'm really excited to see what the next years bring. I love that he's very down to earth, and I haven't had a chance to speak to him in person yet, but I'm just hoping that occasion will come, and I'm really excited to let him know what I love about Disneyland, because I think he's the kind of guy who appreciates that everybody has things that they love, and that's what makes the park such a rich environment. And he's there to look out for and steward the parks that we love, have been in place for 70 years, and hopefully will continue for many, many more years in the future.
And the thing, as you were speaking, that popped into my head too, is he has a good handshake. And that isn't something we talk about very often anymore. But growing up in the Midwest, like, a handshake was a really big deal. Like, you had to have a good handshake. And, dads and grandpas and mentors would always be like, here's how to have a good handshake. You want it to be firm. You don't want to be overpowering. And he had a good handshake, and he was very good at looking into your eyes and communicating. And the other thing that I'm excited about with him is I've loved watching what he did at Disney Signature Experiences, whether it's the Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney, Story Living by Disney. Like, he has a track record the last few years that is very exciting. When you look even at just, like, I'm thinking of the Disney Adventure that's coming out later this year. Like, he was kind of the guy that was in charge of making all of that happen over the last few years ahead of it debuting later this year. And that ship just looks incredible, and it shows the power of Disney Magic. And you can go back to Disney Treasure and all these other ships too. But people who've gone on Disney cruises frequently say it is the epitome of what a Disney experience can be. And the guy that was running that is now at the Disneyland Resort, and I think that's very exciting. We also got food while we were there, which was also quite delicious. And I'm now thinking about the chicken sandwich I had that morning, late morning, whatever you want to call it. By then it was a brunch, and I really would like more of that chicken because that sounds good. But after that, we were back to work again. We went and dropped off our books at the hotel, which, thank you, Disneyland, for giving us a hotel, because I cannot imagine having run to Mickey and Friends and back every time. Like, you can't carry books through the park all day. Like, that just would not be practical, along with camera equipment and batteries and all of this other stuff, laptops, iPads. So we dropped those off, headed right back into the park because this was the first day that they really had all the 70th stuff offered. And it was kind of a one-time thing that was like, oh, here's a peek and it's going to go away for a couple more days and then it'll come back on Friday. Or I guess one more day it'll be gone. But so that was the day that the characters were out in their 70th outfits, which we had seen them the day before, now that I mention it, in that media room and gotten pictures with them. And then they also had the new Celebrate Happy cavalcade, which was presented twice on Wednesday. Characters' outfits, I guess we could talk about those real quick. I love how happy and vibrant and colorful they are. And it's very much what you were talking about with the decorations. Like, it just makes you smile because I couldn't even, there's probably psychology behind it where it's like, oh, well, these colors are predisposed to make you smile and happy. But they do the trick and they just make you happy. You see them and you're like, oh, I can get on board with this. I dig it. And, but I think we can skip to the cavalcade just because otherwise this will be a forever long thing. It uses the Celebrate Happy song. There is going to be an article on Daps Magic at some point about all of the places you can find Celebrate Happy, because we did talk about it on Geeks Corner. And it's a lot. And but here's Celebrate Happy. You see Duffy the Bear and Shelly May coming out on the back of bicycles, which look like they might have been seen in the past in maybe some other shows at the Disneyland Resort. And different streets maybe even. But so they come out first. That day they had Goofy and Max following with a bunch of dancers. Goofy got moved further back later the next time I saw it. And so it was Max on a regular day, dancers, then Goofy, Chip, and Dale, then princesses, Disney princesses after that, including Merida was on it a couple times, so also Pixar princess. And then I think more dancers, then the float with Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Pluto, followed by more Disney characters. So it's kind of a cavalcade plus for the Disneyland Resort, because normally our cavalcades are a couple of cars, maybe a float, and some dancers and characters. And this just felt like it had a little bit more than, like, it's not a parade, but it also is cavalcade plus. Like, it's a little bit more than a normal cavalcade. The song gets stuck in your head. It's very happy. The whole thing's happy. I would like to go and see it more and take more pictures of it, because I think it's a great addition. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So yeah, cavalcade is something that we've had in the parks for about the past, I don't know, not quite 5 years. And so yeah, you get used to kind of the order of events where we have the float that we see pretty often, and of course we do have that one. But yeah, I was really impressed that it's got a little bit more to it. It's fleshed out a little bit more. Definitely a lot of characters. So if you're somebody who is a character hunter, you love to see those more rare characters, this is a chance to see those. I was really impressed that we did get Duffy and Shelly May. Those characters have not been in at least the Anaheim parks for quite some time, and so it's a
Shelly
really nice thing that they get to make an appearance. Never, yeah, exactly, not Shelly May. So I really was thrilled to see them. I think that's fun, and the anthem, the Celebrate Happy anthem with the Jonas Brothers, is something that I am really starting to enjoy. You know, at first, whenever there's a new song, it's always like, wait, how do I feel about this? And I have to get used to it for a second. I am really enjoying that anthem, and which is good because I know we'll be hearing it for about 18 months. So I think it's great. It's a great use of the song, and yeah, the cavalcade itself is really well done. It feels like it's more substantial than some that we've seen in the past.
That is for sure. And I think the best part of that song, though, is the whistling at the beginning. Like, I think that's such a happy part of the song. So yeah, we watched that. In fact, we watched both of them. Got way more sun than we needed to because it was a beautiful day on that Wednesday. And then we had, I think, a couple hours free before the dinner that was in Fantasyland. And they closed off Fantasyland, and they had bunch of characters in there. They had food, they had drinks, they had some entertainment. I think there was a DJ, and then they they basically segued from that with the Disneyland band into us going up to the Small World area and seeing the new facade, or the show on the facade of the of It's a Small World. And that one is, I'm spacing the official name for it at the moment, but
it is Tapestry of Happiness.
There we go, Tapestry of Happiness, and it's beautiful. Like, it's a look back at 70 years of the Disneyland Resort and some current stuff too, and I thought they just did a fantastic job with it, and it's done in the Mary Blair style, which is beautiful, and I think it's the kind of thing where you could do variations on this every year in different themes. Like, whatever the theme is for the parks, I think something like this should happen, just because we've had the holiday version that we see, you know, with Toyland and all of that fun little thing for years now. But this one was different, and it really captured the heart, I felt like, of Disneyland, and really captured the different memories you have through the years, both past and present, that you're making, and hit it with an emotional tone that there were lots of tears around me when we saw it that first time from people in the media. And some of them were from people that really haven't been to Disneyland. Like, it was connecting even with them, because we had members of the media that were from Florida, and they're like, oh, what's this? You know, like, and yes, they'd been to Disneyland, but they didn't have that same connection that some, you know, somebody that's gone dozens, if not hundreds of times might have. And so I was really impressed at how different people walked away from it with different things, but everybody walked away with it, or walked away feeling like it was something that was special and one of their favorites, which I thought was fantastic. What did you think of it, Angela?
Well, I'm going to beat you to the punch, because I'm guessing one of the questions later will be, what's your favorite thing? So this is my favorite thing. I feel like Tapestry of Happiness is the sleeper. It's the hidden jewel. It's the thing that maybe falls under the radar. But to me, this was my favorite thing. I thought it would be Paint the Night, which I also loved. But Tapestry of Happiness hits the same notes to me, I realized later, as what I loved about Remember Dreams Come True, the 50th fireworks nighttime spectacular, because it leads you into the park. I rewatched this even today. It starts with When You Wish Upon a Star, which right away, I mean, that's the way to my heart. I love that song so much. And then it goes to the train. It goes to the opening Floral Mickey. And then you go down Main Street. And there's all the pieces of what it's like to enter the park. Those nostalgic elements that, when I think about, I spent a day at Disneyland, what did I do? Those pieces that come up to me as being the most special. It hits, as you say, it hits some of the new items. So Tiana's Bayou Adventure is featured on there. I thought that was a nice little shout out. It's got, let's see, oh man, a tribute to the Sherman Brothers really briefly in there. It features Fantasmic. It calls out Galaxy's Edge. But the thing that got me, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's a moment where some of our favorite former attractions are mentioned, and it's set to the song Remember Me from Coco. And so there's, for example, the People Mover and the Skyway Buckets, the original Disneyland sign, the keel boats, things like that. And just the thought that went into that, I did not expect to have that kind of in memoriam segment there. But it was so powerful that I started to cry. I'll be honest. I got emotional. Just, oh my goodness, this is so meaningful. And then what do they do immediately? They follow it up with a quote from Walt in his own voice and his own words, talking about understanding the world better, kind of what Small World is for, and that in so doing, the world will be a happy one. And I think that's really a hallmark of what the celebration means, is it's from the start of this place that Walt Disney created 70 years ago with the goal of making the world a happier one. And so I really love this show. I love the colors. I love the graphic style. As you say, it does have a nod to Mary Blair. It's kind of a graphic, two-dimensional artist style. Some of it even reminded me of paper cut art, the way it kind of has layers and blends
Also very Mary
together. But absolutely. To me, this show is something I will watch again and again. I think it's so detailed. You'll see something new every time you watch it, from standing in different positions and being closer or further away. You'll see new things every time. So for me, if somebody asked me, what's the one thing I really need to see? I would say Tapestry of Happiness. That was my definite favorite from my first weekend seeing all the events.
And for better or for worse, it's up at the north end of the park, which traditionally for the second Paint the Night is less busy, which may not be true anymore because this show might just draw people in. And so that tip that I used to give, like, if you don't want to wait as long, just go by Small World, may not be true anymore because this is such a good thing to watch while you're waiting. And I'm really glad they put it in. And I do think it's one of the best, like, it's between that and the Muppets pre-show for me of like what were my favorite moments of the weekend. And that was me also filming. I was filming that and looking through a lens and trying not to, like, we were crammed in like sardines and trying to get decent footage from where we were. And that led directly into, for us, within minutes of Paint the Night. And so that was the first presentation of Paint the Night since it was returned. And both the Cavalcade and Paint the Night had been pushed out on the app, the Disneyland app, earlier in the day as like, hey, this is happening. And so it seemed like everybody and their friend and uncle and mother stopped by Disneyland to cram into a spot. So there was tons of energy. There was, it was opening night energy, which you can't beat. And it was packed. But it was also just amazing to see the return of this parade. You can't say enough nice things about it. It's got energy, it's got magic, it's got light, obviously, and it's got characters. And it's just one of those things that I think, as much as the Main Street Electrical Parade is quintessential nostalgic Disneyland, Paint the Night is becoming that same thing for a whole new generation. And it'll be interesting to see how the histories and the futures of those two parades intertwine in the coming years. But I absolutely love this parade. I also love that technology has moved up quite a bit since the last time it was here. So both our videos and our photos are so much better than what we could do before. And that just, as people that are capturing the content and trying to get it out for the rest of the world to see that can't go to the happiest place on earth, we really do work hard to make sure we have good quality videos and photos that we can put out. And it's fun to get another chance at getting good videos and photos of this parade, because night is the hardest time to shoot. And this was a lot easier. Like, I was literally sitting there first looking at the video from the Pocket 3 and then through the, was it iPhone 15, 16, something like that. And both of them just look gorgeous. And it's fun to know that we now have these for nostalgia and future people to look back on it and be like, oh, so that's what it was like in 2025. Because now, like, I can't tell you how many people came up to me in the parks in the last couple of weeks and like, oh yeah, we were going back and watching the 60th videos you guys had. And it's hard to believe that's already been 10 years, but there is a staying power to these videos that we put them up and we try to put them exactly as we see them, and people want to go and experience that experience we had, whether it's last week with the opening night of Paint the Night, or 10 years before, or even 20 years before when we were there for the 50th of Disneyland as well, which is crazy to think we have video of that as well. Then we returned on Friday night for the true opening. I guess that one was the premiere and one's the opening night. Is that what we call it? And we got a great we got a great spot in the hub with the castle in the background and the parade coming right at us. And you got to see it again for the first time in several years. What were your thoughts
Oh, I
with
did.
the return of Paint the Night?
So Paint the Night was one of those kind of legendary events. We got it for a while in Disneyland Park, and then it moved over to Disney California Adventure, and it was something I used to just love to watch back in those days. But then it went away, and so there was a question of, will it ever come back? And I think it makes a lot of sense to bring Paint the Night back for this event. It was just as beautiful and just as magical as it was in my mind. And, when something goes away, sometimes you can build it up in your mind to say, oh, well, it was so amazing. It was the best thing ever. And then when it comes back, you say, well, okay, yeah, that was good, but maybe I built it up a little bit. Nope, it was exactly what I remembered and even better, I think. There's nothing like, well, first you need to know, my favorite float is Mac from Cars, where he's just this wall of lights. And there's nothing like standing, if you can, front row, watching him come right past you. It's just this awe-inspiring experience. And I think same with all the floats. There's nothing bad. It is one of those things that I think only Disney can do. Paint the Night is such a show-stopping parade that it is the successor to the electrical Main Street Electrical Parade, and it really still lives up to it. I am so excited to get to watch that as long as it will continue to be in the parks. It's something that I know a lot of people are excited for, with good reason. As I say, it didn't end up being my very favorite, but it is a huge favorite. It has a great place in my heart.
And they have signs out now that say you can line up for this and other entertainment offerings 2 hours before. If it's a busy day in the park, I would be prepared to wait the 2 hours. Like, get there right when the 2 hours are, grab a spot, and kind of watch the crowds and talk to cast members, see what's going on, and work with them to see what works best for you. Obviously, the most popular place is always on Main Street USA, because there are few things that are more incredible than seeing Mac come down Main Street, because he looks big through the rest of the park, but you put him on Main Street and he just looks massive, and it's super impressive. I will say the Frozen float really jumped out at me this year. And I don't know if it's because when the parade was in Disney California Adventure, we had the Incredibles float instead, and so I missed it at some level, or it just is a really impressive float in the dark of night to see this tower of white and brilliance, coming out into the night. And where we were at, there was enough of a gap between floats that it really was kind of this beacon of light into the night, and I thought that was really cool to see as well. Along with using, like, I thought the Celebrate Happy use at the end to tie it in with the Disneyland Resort 70th celebration worked pretty well as well, and it was kind of a fun, like, in some ways it almost made more sense to me, because you have Goofy and Donald and Minnie kind of goofing off and playing on the floats that very reminiscent of the Main Street Electrical Parade, and I actually, for those three in particular, I was like, this makes so much more sense to me than Zippity Doo-Dah did, because Zippity Doo-Dah is a fun song, but there's not really a meaning beyond It's a Wonderful Day, whereas Celebrate Happy is literally focused on, like, oh, this is happy, we're celebrating it, we're having fun. And so I thought it was a good use of the song, and an upgrade, whatever. If they could have just thrown a little bit of Fantasia in there for Mickey, then I don't know how you do that. I'm being an armchair Imagineer right now, but I thought it was a great upgrade for the show, and just be ready to wait for it, and be ready to commit to that. On the flip side, if you're looking for time to get on rides or go see Fantasmic, that's not as busy now, everybody's watching Paint the Night, so the rest of the park has this dip in busyness, I'm going to call it. And so you can go see Fantasmic fairly easy. You can go see Fire of the Rising Moons very easily. We did that on Sunday, and along with the Shadows of Memory projection. Go to the second one. Nobody's there, apparently. So it does create some opportunities, as any really good nighttime spectacular does at the Disneyland Resort, to go on rides, to go see other things, to not wait in line forever for ice cream. And so if you're willing to maybe miss the first paint the night and go to the second one, use that time wisely, because you can get a lot done during that. Finally, the night of the event, and then also Friday night, which was the kickoff, ended with Wondrous Journeys. And this is a returning show that I think people really enjoy. And it had a short run in my head, and it meets that bar of, does this make people happy? Absolutely. Like it really does connect with different parts of the Walt Disney Company and its legacy and its history. And it may not be as Disneyland centric, but it is Disney history. It is Walt's history. And it continues on up to, I think there's 60 different movies, animated movies, that are included in this. And you get to see Baymax, and you get to see the Blue Fairy flying over the castle. And it was fun to get to watch that once again. So on Wednesday night, as soon as the parade was over, we were told, follow the parade down to, there's going to be a spot for you in front of the castle. And so me and my buddy Jeff from Mouse Steps hopped right in behind the parade, followed it down, and we were lucky enough to get very front and center castle viewing space, which never happens. Like, there's always somebody there, like late afternoon or something. Like, somebody always gets that spot. So we've been close, but we've never been like, oh, this is the spot. And we both had like, this is the spot. So I'm very happy with how that video turned out and that viewing experience, because they weren't having people walk in front of us either, because it was a media event. And so that might end up being our best production value fireworks video we ever get, just because that opportunity will never happen again. I'm doubting. It was worth the stress, but I was happy to see it come back. And I've heard people be like, oh, I wish they'd made a new show for the 70th. And part of me is like, well, yes, but we've had a lot of new fireworks shows in the last 10, 15 years, whatever you want to call it. And the park was closed for a while, and I kind of liked that they just went with the bar of like, oh, does this make people happy? Let's use it, as opposed to creating something new and setting a new bar for impressive fireworks show, which this one did when it came out, and then have to do it again in 5 years. And I kind of just like, I would be completely happy if for the next 4 years they just give us this, give us Remember, give us Believe, like give us shows we know and love. And then for the 75th, if you feel like this is a big enough milestone, make something that's really going to blow our socks off and do that wow thing. And only Disney can do that. So I think there's a lot of possibilities with that. And I just enjoy it. I just think it's a fun show, and I think we'll have fun looking for all of the different movies again, since I've clearly forgotten where they all are in the projections. What do you think of it?
Yeah, what you said triggered something to me too, that I think a show with that much quality behind it deserves a nice long run. Remember Dreams Come True is probably my all-time favorite fireworks show, but technology has advanced so much now that Wondrous Journeys really showcases that. And I think you're right. It really did not get the full time to show its quality that some of the other shows in the past have. And so I love it. There's not a time when Wondrous Journeys is showing that I will, if I have the time, that I will miss out on it. It's one of those ones where other shows I might say, I like it, but I just got to get home. Wondrous Journeys has that draw for me, and so I am excited to get to watch it again for the next 18 months. And I know a lot of people love it, like you said, as well. And so I'm sure that it will have a nice experience for those who maybe didn't get to see it in its previous iteration. I'm excited for everybody to have that same experience.
And as you were speaking, the thought came to mind too, is Remember at Disneyland was very much wishes to Walt Disney World. And I feel like Wondrous Journeys at Disneyland could be kind of come happily ever after that Walt Disney World has. And it's kind of that new modern classic that connects, and it has kind of that storytelling thing happening. And and because of the storyteller, that narrator at the beginning and the end, I really feel like it also kind of has that connection to the Disney of the past, of like the old animated movies where you had the narrator, or you had, like, it has that kind of connection to many different levels of, or ages of fandom and eras of fandom, that everybody's going to connect with something. And I love that they do things like that. And they have songs and moments from movies that all eras. Like, I can imagine my grandma really enjoying it, and then I can also, on one end, and then I could imagine my nieces and nephews at the younger end also really enjoying this show. And so I'm really glad they brought it back. But that was basically the end of the structured part of the media event and the structured part of our opening day of Disneyland's Resort 70th celebration on Friday. We did also get a chance to play with Mouse Steps and their key to Disneyland. I do have a guide up on the website because we have that up as well. This, I will say, was something that when I first saw it, my head scratched a little bit because I didn't quite understand it. But it's an interactive little addition that I think is brilliant on their part. I think the price point may seem a little high when you first think about it, but then you watch it and you experience it and you hold it and you get the pin out of it. It makes sense. Like, it's the exact price it should be. So they have that happening. And then they also have, for people with Magic Band Plus, they have these little interactive stations throughout Disneyland as well, where you can scan your Magic Band and either something happens or you get a card, and it just creates this fun little scavenger hunt interactivity thing on both of these things, that I really think they learned from the Season of the Force scavenger hunt last year, and then also finding the Pizza Planet trucks last summer for Pixar Fest as well. And they've kind of taken that to the next level, and they're like, how can we also make it, instead of just looking and pointing at it or taking a picture, how can we make it interactive and maybe even give you something that you can take home with you, which those cards are proving to be incredibly popular for the Magic Band Plus. But so are the the key to Disneyland's. Like, I thought they were going to do well. I had no clue how quickly they were going to sell out, and they've been having to restock as more and more people are really getting into that and getting to go through these different portals and have fun with this. What do you think of the interactive elements as we wrap up on all of this for Disneyland 70th?
I think that interactivity is genius. It's one of those things when I'm now thinking about, okay, what am I going to do on my next visit? What are my top items that I really have to hit? I really want to just go around and find all of these stations, get all of the cards, make all of the little activations go off. It's such a treasure hunt. And I think that is so brilliant, because if you're not somebody who wants to do every single ride, if you're a regular visitor, there's still something for you. You can come and say, hey, what does that do? And you'll be surprised. There's so many little touches that I can tell somebody dreamed up and spent a lot of love creating and installing in the park. And I just live for that kind of thing. I think that is what makes Disney so special. And I'm so excited about physical media, too, being able to have a card that I can hold on to for the future, to look back and say, remember when they did that? Remember this station? You can try to collect some of the various versions. In Adventureland, there are various different groups that it can place you in, and there's a whole set that you can collect. And I think those are the little details that make this really special. And so I love it. I have really also noticed the popularity of the key to Disneyland. And let me tell you, I was surprised at the length of the lines on opening weekend. Maybe I shouldn't have been. But
Yeah,
everybody, it seemed like, was getting into that. And I thought that was amazing. I was a bit, on the fence originally too. But let me tell you, I'm sold. I think that's so cute. Will I buy one myself? We'll see. But I think the experience of going around to every land in the park, having a fun little moment that it seems like it's just for you, and then at the end to say, I did this whole thing, I accomplished something, and now I have this souvenir to bring back to remember the 70th celebration. I think that's so cute. I am really in favor of all of those interactive elements, especially using a Magic Band. They've had some like the Play Disney app where they've pioneered some of these kinds of interactive elements, but to just be able to do it with your Magic Band Plus, it feels like there's such a low bar to participate, that anybody can do it, and I think it's fantastic. So I will definitely be doing more of those in the near future.
And it's fun with the key thing. There's even a spot, I think it's Key or is it Magic Band, in Galaxy's Edge, and it activates the screen, and it looks like it's turning on the A-Wing, and it was super cool. And as you were speaking, I'm like, honestly, this is what I want more of for Galaxy's Edge, is more Magic Band Plus, because I don't have to be looking at my screen and going through ABC. I can just go kind of on a scavenger hunt and activate it maybe with my Magic Band or get a card or whatever it is. Like, I really love that they're doing this, and I hope they expand that. And I would love to see, maybe after the 70th celebration, expand it into Disney California Adventure as well with similar things. I would be remiss if I didn't mention California Adventure also has a Midway Mania 70th overlay, which is a lot of fun, and you can get some extra points by hitting the 70th stickers, digital stickers, whatever you want to call them, in the attraction. And that's a really fun addition. I'm glad they did that. And it makes a lot of sense for that attraction to give it that kind of an overlay. And honestly, I'd like to see a holiday overlay next, maybe after the 70th or something. Like, I think there's some really fun things you could do with that. There's also a new driver's license at Autopia that's themed to the 70th as well. And so if that's something you really like, you can go over to Autopia and get your driver's license that's themed to the 70th. And you don't have to even be 16. And that's a great thing as well. But I think we have covered in just a little bit over an hour. So we're good. Basically all of the highlights of the Disneyland Resort 70th celebration. There are still so many other things that we could be spending hours upon talking about at the Disneyland Resort during the 70th, because there are tons of little things at specific locations throughout the resort that are fun to explore and try, and menu items and trinkets and you name it. Like, you could do hours just on the merchandise, I think. But hopefully this has given you a good overview of what's happening. Yes. But hopefully this has given you a good overview of what's happening at the Disneyland Resort during the 70th celebration. For all of our videos, for all of our coverage, photos, articles, guides, you name it, if you go to dapsmagic.com/Disneyland70, you can find them all there. There's also a link at the bottom of every page, I believe. And so you can make your way over there to see all of our coverage and not have to go searching everywhere for it, which makes life a whole lot easier. You can also see all of our videos on our YouTube channel. You don't want to miss any of that there. Many of them are shot by Angela. A lot of them are shot by me as well, and Steven and the rest of the team as well. But a lot of hard work goes into putting those out there to make them look great and make them fun for all of you to watch at home, and us too, because as much as we make them for you, we also make them because we love them. And then we also have social media stuff. Our Instagram and our TikTok have been very busy lately with 70th celebration stuff, and we will be talking more about all of the 70th stuff, including music. I think we're going to have to do at some point in the future an episode solely on the music of the Disneyland 70th, whether it's the band Dapper Dan's pre-recorded music that you hear in the Esplanade, its two versions, World of Color, Paint the Night, all these places, Tapestry of Happiness. We need to get into all of that. I think it'd be fun. So let us know in the comments if you'd like to hear a episode on the music of the 70th and what we think about it and what we love. But thank you for listening to this. We'd love it if you'd head on over to Apple Podcasts and give us a good rating, because that always helps us a lot. It helps us get seen, it helps us get heard, and it helps us know what you like. Leave us a comment as well, because we'd love to hear from you. If that's something about this podcast, great. If it's something about what you'd like to hear in the future, that's also a great thing too. And you can find us on social media all over the place as well. But we hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. Thank you for listening this far, and keep kind.